Is context important?
Very.
Do you understand the context in which he said this was to quote a student that had used that phrase against another student, or that word, I'm sorry?
I do understand that that was the context it was used, which is again why I'm furious.
And is context important to you in considering someone using racial slurs or profanity?
Yes, I think context is everything, especially in this situation.
Is it your understanding that Coach Oswald was repeating what the student had said?
Yes, it's my understanding that he was repeating what the student had said and following the procedures that were set forth.
Is context important in judging what someone says or does with respect to you as an individual?
Context is everything.
Is context important,
Absolutely,
Using that?
yes.
whether or not he's
It's
a
the way he
racist?
said it. He wasn't calling them the name. He was just explaining what was going on.
And is there a difference in that?
Absolutely. He's not calling them a name. He's just explaining what the infraction was.
I think when I and why are you furious?
Because Joe Oswald is being terminated for something that I don't believe to be wrong in any way. And as a black man, as you mentioned, I grew up in this school district. I saw racism in this school district at times, and I know Joe Oswald very well, and he's not that. I can say full-heartedly without blinking that that's not Joe Oswald. So in hopes of wanting to make this school district, which I think is the best in the world, just like I think America's the greatest country, it's not perfect, and I hope that everybody wants to make it better. And if that's what that termination was to do, to make kids feel more inclusive, to make sure that they're loved on, appreciated, and cared out outside of being an athlete or a student, the termination of Joe Oswald would do the opposite of that. It would hurt the cause. He's one of the good ones. So it makes me very upset.
If Joe Oswald had called this student that name, simply referred to her by that N-word, would you be here speaking on his behalf?
As a black man in 2021, I'm sitting here defending him saying the word in the context that he said it in. If it was malicious, I would not be here right now.
But you've never seen him do that, have you?
Never even seen him say a cuss word.
Did you ever observe him ever use a racial slur towards any of the players?
Never. Never. He would never say that.
Is Joe Oswald a racist?
No. If it's in him, it would have came out before now. It never would have, never has he ever said anything racist or hurtful to a student, ever. He would never do it. He's always been positive. He's the most positive person I've ever been around. And he's a brother to me.
Have you ever had to write up a referral for using a racial slur?
Oh, yes, sir.
And in writing a referral, what has been your process or your training that you have received on how to do that?
I will write down exactly what they said, okay? And normally students would ask you, why are you writing me up? And I will tell them exactly why I'm writing you up and what they exactly said and turn into the administrator.
So you would repeat verbatim exactly what terms they used with the student?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, did you receive that training, and that's the process that you take?
That's what I've been told to do, to write down exactly what was said.
Who actually told you that that is the process to do a write-up?
Administrators.
And so when you say administrators, are you speaking of Dr. Sharp?
Speaking of every administrator that I've had at West.
So is that formal training, or is that just through passing? Is that through you actually writing up someone? And then how did you receive that training or that instruction from Dr. Sharp? Or if there's other administrators that you can name verbatim, I would like to also know those names.
Well, Mr. Hahn, write down exactly what they said, and I would write it down. Not gonna write anything that's not true. I'm gonna write exactly what was said and leave it at that. That's not my job to put down discipline. I'm gonna write down what they say and give it to the administrator. That's their job.
So to write down and to repeat it to the student is the training that you've received?
Normally for me, I usually tell them so they understand what so there will not be no, I'm putting words in their mouth. This is what's being said. This is what I'm sending down. And then it's out my hands.
So is it training, or is this just the practices that you have kind of taken?
No training.
And it's coming from the administrators?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.